Animal overpopulation. Georgia euthanizes hundreds of thousands of cats and dogs every year at a taxpayer price tag of, get this, $100 million. 62% of homeless pets taken to shelters in Georgia are killed. That's about 300,000 cats and dogs. In Metro Atlanta, that number is 80,000 each year. Troubling. Let's talk about some solutions now. We have a roundtable discussion here with a few of my friends, panel of experts. First off, Jenny Milner, one of my good friends, is here, founder of Fix Georgia Pets. Great being on the show.
One of the founders.
Yeah, so glad you're here with me as well. And one of your colleagues is joining me.
Well, she's my CEO, my fundraiser, my whatever.
Amy Lance, thank you for being on the show.
Amy Lance. Thank you for having us.
Yes, so let's talk about this a little bit.
Well, the main
these
thing
numbers are troubling.
Well, the main thing is that I'm hoping that that Georgia, to tell you about Fix Georgia Pets. Fix Georgia Pets is a charity that was formed to be a solution to the overcrowding of so many animals and so many being spayed and neutered. But most of all, it's a charity that helps solve the problem of the 300,000 animals being killed across the state. And we work, depending on how much money we raise from people, and every single amount goes to 4 times a year, spaying and neutering, clear across the state, giving to each organization that we have enough money for. Humane Society will help us, and if Lifeline, who's so wonderful, they have Fulton County Animal Shelter and DeKalb. All across the state, there's so many animals that we even have 34 places, 34 counties that don't even have animals, animal shelters.
Oh my goodness.
And so the point being that if we do this, if we can fund Fix Georgia Pets, and we fund all of Georgia, then we can solve the overpopulation, the animals being stray, 1 million cats approximately. But I'd like to have, you to hear from Amy.
Yes.
That has also been helping me.
One thing that is also important is her co-founder Ruby Reed is very quick to say adoption and rescue efforts are very important, but they don't address the root of the problem. So while we do need adoption and rescue to continue, if we can't get ahead of the waves of litter after litter after litter, for instance, in Fulton County alone, they get 30 dogs a day, 30 dogs or cats every day during the summer turned in.
My goodness.
And if we can't get ahead of those litters that keep being born, then we can't address the problem with a solution. So if we spay neuter in massive quantities across the state, we can get ahead.
So that is the solution, in your opinion, right now. One of the solutions would be to spay and neuter. I know your organization, too, has held events where people can do this, right? In the public.
Well, that's what we do, is that we're an umbrella. We're an umbrella that actually goes into Georgia and goes to every part of Georgia with every organization that we get enough money to spay and neuter. Say we have, well, right now we have about 1,000 dogs down in McRae, Georgia, waiting to be spayed and neutered. And we just gave her a grant because we were able to raise that. Or the next thing is we're going into Talberton, Georgia. They don't even have an animal shelter there. There's a policeman that told us about it, and now when we went up there, the last spay and neuter shelter, last time we went up there, they got it so excited that now they want an animal services. So basically we are an umbrella, and wouldn't it be great if Georgia would be the first state in the Southeast to not have this problem? Because you can't, all these animals are just running around, feral, it's overpopulated, there are not enough homes for these animals,
And many times,
and it's so painful.
The reason that there are so many strays and ferals often is because the owners that come to the shelters to turn in their pet are turned away because there is no room. They are overcrowded shelters, so those that are trying to turn the animals in find there's no room there, so they let them out on the streets, and they become stray and feral. And they bite children, they bite postal carriers. You'd be amazed at the number. So it's an environmental issue.
Is there anything else that we can do? We talk about spay and neuter, and that's huge. And obviously that's something we all need to consider and do. We need to look for your upcoming events so that we can have our pets spayed and neutered. What else, though? I mean, you had mentioned, I think, Amy, that it was an environmental problem, too.
It is environmental, both from the safety for our children that play outside, safety for adults, too, including the postal carriers. But if we can fix the problem if we fix Georgia Pets. And so that is why we're trying to do as much as we can, because when we provide funding to these organizations, a lot of times they have wait lists of people that are low-income pet owners who cannot afford to fix their pets, but they want to do the right thing. So we fund both low-income pet owners, we fund the volunteers that bring in the feral cats who have them fixed and then return them, because feral cats are not all bad. They do keep the rodent population under control, but we do want to make sure that they don't keep proliferating.
Right, right.
Well, there's a good and a bad story here. The bad story is that we have so many animals and it's so sad. And even people walking down at the end of Northside Drive, a man told me that he has to use a baseball bat to keep feral dogs off of him. So that's pretty bad.
That's horrible.
But the good thing is that if Fix Georgia Pets is able to raise enough money to give each and every part of every state to spay and neuter, we would be the first state to have a cookie cutter like a United Way, where Georgia is solved, and then we go to Alabama, Tennessee, and many other places to solve it, and do videos in museums for children to understand about what it is to love an animal, to care for an animal, to not be bitten. So that's where we're going, and that's the good, because Georgia can be the first in the Southeast to be, and Georgia's important.
So let's get on board with Fix Georgia Pets.
Thank
Jenny,
you.
Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Great
for having
information.
us.
Yes. Now, you can take part in the fight to fix the overpopulation problem here in our state by simply going to Fix Georgia Pets, and you can do that online, or of course you can also call them, and they are a 501c3 charity, which is great. The number 404-835-4100, and on Twitter they are at FixGAPets, right?
Yes. Right, but the good thing is that if everybody in Georgia sent $1 in, with 9 million people, we'd be able to do the whole state.
$1, we can all do that, right?
Oh, $1.
Fix Georgia Pets. $1, you can
so
do it.
Great.
That's great.
Thank
you
you.
guys. And
Thank
still
you.
ahead, do you have a pet who needs a little house training? I'm sure we all do. Dogs take center stage in the studio. We'll show you some tips that you can begin to use today. That's coming up right after this break on Public Affairs on Peach.